Hello, I'm Dennis Harabin, and I want to share with you why I feel you should be as passionate as I am about our 501c3's mission. Our mission here at Project Scholarship is to help students and their families to transition from a classroom to a career with the least amount of debt possible. So how big is this problem? Well, the problem itself is that the higher education system today is failing most of the vested parties. You have the students and the parents whose debt continues to grow more than ever. Parents' debts of the student are continuing to increase exponentially. And the companies themselves are having an overall unemployment rate has dropped over the last 10 years, with it being harder and harder to find people in the skilled knowledge positions. So the students aren't being served, the companies aren't being served. So you would think the colleges are winning out in all this, but they're not. The actual colleges themselves are not only in financial, but in actual existence troubles. The Harvard professor who wrote The Innovator's Dilemma predicts that 50% of all colleges will either close or merge, basically just creating a bunch of mega colleges going forward. So this is a big problem. How big a problem is it? Well, currently the student debt is over $1.5 trillion. And the government has just announced that they're going to cut back the amount of funds available for student debt. So this student debt is not just impacting the individuals, they're affecting the entire families. And most families will be impacted by this in one way or another over time. If you get out to Student Loan Hero, they have a debt clock that just monitors and tracks from the time you got there how much debt was added, where the overall debt is. Get out there sometimes and watch that debt grow. Now, this is not just this limited basis. This is a continuously feeding problem. There's an additional 20 million every year, and projected to be another 20 million over the upcoming years of students who are going to add to this problem. And as the students come in, more and more are getting more and more debt, and the parents' debt is increasing as well. So we know here at Project Scholarship there is no silver bullet. There is no one solution that's going to stop everything. But we also know that when you build a bridge, the smart thing to do is to stop the traffic from going onto the bridge. You either divert it or close the bridge before you start doing the work. And then you can make a bigger impact faster. That's what we're going to do here with Project Scholarship. That's how we help. We're going to actually help stop the bridge by preventing more and more new students from going into this debt, or reducing the amount of debt the students take before going after the bigger debt situation. And how do we do that at Project Scholarship? Well, we have a platform. And our platform allows companies to post specific routine types of projects. And then it encourages college students to compete on those projects to win scholarships. So what happens is it uses a proven method of crowdsourcing, but the model has a twist, in that the twist itself is that the students can be hired. Most of the crowdsourcing now is done with talent from overseas. So a company can't actually hire those individuals. The advantage to the company and to the students are great, because this is only going to be US-based students or individuals, because anyone can do the projects, but because it can only be used, the reward can only be used at a U.S. approved nonprofit U.S. college or university. It now knows that these are people who can be hired, who can work for them long term. So companies use it to recruit, and students use it to grow their resume. So it's a win-win-win for all these individuals in the higher education cycle. First of all, the students and their families win, because not only do the students and families get the ability to help reduce their student debt and pay for college, but they're able to build their resume while they're doing it. They're actually getting to see some of the real world tasks and projects that would be required of them as they enter into the workforce. So they're better prepared to enter into the workforce. And because of that, the companies win. Companies get routine tasks done for one set price. Crowdsourcing, like I said, is nothing that's new. But the difference here is you can hire these people. So these projects now become recruiting and screening tools for interns and entry-level positions. So the companies can go after students and talent earlier and sooner to help fill in those gaps. And then finally, the colleges win. Although they're not actually involved in the transaction at all, the funds can only be spent at accredited nonprofit U.S. universities. So the college wins by just being there. So as far as going forward and looking at this, why I'm sure there's someone that's already been doing this, right? Well, we find that the competition, there is no real person hitting it at the exact level we are. What we're doing, everything has competition, but the competition is in the individual sections. And a lot of those are frenemies. They're not actually competing with us. So you do have intern sites that help with finding those internships. There's a lot of sites that help with the scholarship, dwelling into traditional, not these micro scholarships that we're creating. The difference being these people want to work with us as affiliates. So we can drive traffic, and they've agreed, some of them have already agreed to donate based on people going in and using their paid for profit services. They'll donate part of that back to project scholarship. And then again, companies can use this to help filter out the interns on those internship portals to say, hey, do this project, rather than just looking at a piece of paper and resume. The crowdsourcing and the job boards will always be there. But the difference being they're not able to offer, they're not doing it for scholarships. They're not doing it for a target market. So we're not concerned about the competition. What we are concerned about is, like any nonprofit, we need to rely on the generosity of people and companies to kickstart our system and to get going to reach our mission. Any nonprofit in this day and age who plans to survive solely on the generosity of people and companies to donate are putting their mission at risk. That's why we've created a financial model that, once the seeding money has been in place, will allow us to survive and thrive without needing more donations and more generosity. So how it works is that whenever one of these projects is listed, the projects themselves, there's a 10% listing fee. Of that 10% listing fee, 90% of the money goes goes immediately to the students. Of that 10%, 3% goes to the credit card processing fee. So that this is a simple transaction. Any company can do it online with a credit card. And then there's a 5% affiliate fee, because we know that the traffic's not just going to come to our site. Someone's going to need to drive those projects to our site. It'll either be students or it'll be traditional marketing firms that already have customer bases. Eventually, if they come organically, then we'll save that 5%. But we're counting on spending 5% of every project that comes in. That leaves us our net operating revenue to run our operation, to run our systems. But when the student goes to redeem the scholarship, then there's also a 10% processing fee. So the student actually banks these micro scholarships in our bank, and twice a year, there's windows of opportunity to redeem. And during those redemption windows, to cut down costs, there's just twice a year they do that. And during those redemption windows, the processing fee is 10% of the total redemption, unless the student has encouraged new students to join. This is the organic flavor that keeps it rolling. So we're not looking to make the money on the students' processing fees. We actually want them to reduce that fee down to as little as 5% by encouraging other students to join Project Scholarship. So it becomes completely organic, and as much of the money as possible stays with the students, stays with meeting our mission, which is to attack and address the student debt and to help overall grow the students' population ability to grow. So how do we encourage sponsorships? How are we encouraging people to help us to get into that, to take that risk with us, and to kickstart us till we reach critical mass? As you saw from our funding model, once we've reached critical mass, there's no concern. We will be able to keep this running. And the way we're going to be doing that is through our Project Scholarship founding sponsors. We've already started to line up some founding sponsors, and our founding sponsors logo, and this whole overall filled-in grid, with professionally done, a little better, of course, will be our standard part of all of our transactional emails for the years to come. And all it requires is one-time donation. So the sponsors who are joining and getting on board early are contributing based on level, there's a minimum contribution. Once that level is filled, where they need to go to the next minimum level to become a founding sponsor. Now, we can take any donation. We'll gladly take any donation. But what we really want to do is fill our grid with founding sponsors. We want the companies that are here early and the companies who are willing to work with us and who see this vision and want to be part of this. When millions and billions of eyeballs see this, and when those emails are going out in large scale on a daily basis for a minimal $1,000 donation, $2,500 donation, your logo is forever embedded with helping to address this serious problem. So how are we going to get there? How are we going to get there? And what is our marketing approach to reach that critical mass? And what will we do with some of this sponsored money that we're working with? Well, when you're building out a marketplace, the biggest challenge is always the situation of the chicken or the egg. So we have a guerrilla plan, a 3-step guerrilla plan to assure that we reach all the constituents that we're looking for and to reach the targets for each segment. So first of all, to get more exposure for our sponsors and to get out to our sponsors, and also to reach those future student parents, we have a national Meetup network that we'll address in more details in the next slide. We also are looking to be able to reach out to the colleges and students. We've done a partnership with US Cornhole, where we're going to be running on-campus cornhole tournaments throughout the spring and the fall to really get attention from the colleges, let them know we exist, and to let all those students know and to sign up. And that's how we're going to reach our critical mass of student base or projects. And then finally, we're going to go out and talk to the people. We're not relating for them to come to us. We're not waiting for them to visit our website. We're going to hit the New Jersey streets with street fairs and go out and get some real-time feedback to what people are thinking, how does it work, and to really get some notice and let people know that we exist and hear what they think is the best way to address it. So getting into each one of these in a little more detail. First of all, there's that national Meetup network. So what happens is it's one pro Meetup site combination where we're going to host top speakers from the industry. We're going to educate people on what it is to get into the classroom, how it is to get into college, all these things that some companies charge for. We're going to be giving that away as part of a national Meetup where once a month we have a top line speaker from some of the biggest people within the industry. And then we're allowing the Meetup's tools to actually dynamically show you where that local Meetup is. So although each individual Meetup is only intended to have 10 to 15 at most families in it, but each Meetups, there's going to be hundreds of these Meetups across the country that are local and closest to you. And by coming to the website, you'll find out which site it'll automatically show you the Meetup near you. And they're all happening at the same time. You select the one that's closest to you. And we're broadcasting this out over a Zoom network. So the speaker can be seen nationally and engage, yet each individual group is attending a local session. And these sponsors and particularly we're targeting financial services firms who really want to have these people into their offices. They're the ones who are sponsoring our local meetups, and they're the ones who are engaging and being the host. And these local event volunteers and hosts basically have the conference room with a large screen TV where the meetup will be viewed live in real time, and it'll only be available at one of these host locations. And then the hosts will be able to engage back with us any questions that were asked at that group meeting. We're then able to go and consolidate them, bring them back to our speakers and present back that information. And we have a Facebook group and some other tools that once people join are able to go in and see that and engage with that. So we're not just helping with the college aspect, we're helping with educating how to get into college, what's happening in college. We're keeping that engagement constantly happening through our national Meetup network, which again is growing our brand of Project Scholarship, where people can go out there and learn to be part of it. For the Cornhole Tournaments, as I said, we've we've worked with US Cornhole, and US Cornhole is actually going to come out and host the tournaments around the country on the different campuses. They have different representatives around for every state, and they'll host an official cornhole tournament. And then we're using CrowdRise for the students to be able to get into to raise money for those tournaments. So the way the tournaments work, the math behind the tournament is every school, there's a campus organization that's hosting the tournament on campus. We're then donating $500 to that organization, and US Cornhole gets $500 for showing up to host the tournament. So there needs to be at least $100. You need to raise at least $100 for your team to be considered for the Cornhole tournament. Once the tournament has at least 10 teams in the running, then we'll secure the date and book US Cornhole to come out and have that tournament. $500 of that goes to US Cornhole. The other $500 goes to the campus organization who's hosting the tournament. And then from there is where the real fun begins, because if it is a tournament, and up to 32 teams. So as many teams that want to, as many groups to pairs of students that want to can enter this cornhole tournament. The only catch is only the top 32 fundraisers are entered into the tournament, and the seeding for the tournament goes from 1 to 32. So the 33rd team gets bumped. So now the more money that's raised, the more money that's available for scholarships. So the net purse raised using the tool CrowdRise, which is GoFundMe's nonprofit tool, the amount raised is the amount of the actual tournament, and it goes to the normal financials that we've described earlier. So this assures us that we have nice projects on early, shows people how easy it is to be part of Project Scholarship. Winning a cornhole tournament can get you a nice sizable scholarship if you have enough people at your college or university participating. In some community colleges, you may go for free just based on winning a cornhole tournament. And then finally, as I mentioned, we're going to be hitting the streets of New Jersey to get feedback. And there are no tougher streets than the streets of New Jersey. So they are going to give us some pretty honest, blunt feedback. The streets can be very heartless, and they'll be able to tell us what they like, what they don't like. They're not going to hold back. And this is more for user interface experience, for UX, UI, to really get the feel for what those what people are going through. And on the flip side, we're going to also be, letting people know to host their projects, what it is to host a project. We're going to get that Q&A answered real time, face-to-face, talking with people. And we've already booked out a number of these events, and they're going to continue to book out until we're done. So this is really our way to get user feedback rather than just sitting back on a website listening to emails. And that, in a nutshell, is why I think you should be as passionate as we are about Project Scholarship, about what we're doing. Please reach out. If you've gotten this video, you've gotten it because you have our connections, our contact information. Reach out and say, how do you want to help? How can you be part of this? And we would love to have you, and we love to work with you so that your organization gets the most benefit out of being a participant with Project Scholarship. Thank you so much. Have a great day.